Hello, welcome. Hi, what's up? Hi, great to see ya. Thanks for being here. Feel free to share in the chat, introduce yourself. Who are you? Your title, your nonprofit. Talk to me like I'm a fourth grader and tell me what your nonprofit does. Where are you joining from? I'm in Pasadena, California. It is beautiful outside. Hi, Molly. Ooh, what's up? Director of Major Gifts, LA Regional Food Bank. I've heard of it. Hi, Christy. Good to see ya. Orange County. Welcome. Hi, Danny. Grand Teton. Cool. Lindsay is Director of Philanthropy at Meritor Foundation, Madison, Wisconsin. Cool. Very cool. Welcome. If you're just joining, share who you are, where you're joining from. You can share a little bit about what your nonprofit does in the chat. How do you help people? How do you help the world? Hi, Dan.
Hello.
It's going good. So, I'd love to hear why you feel you need a mid-year major gifts reset. What is your intention for the next 90 minutes? What do you hope to get out of this, or what decisions do you need to make? What are you giving yourself space to do in this time? Feel free to share that in the chat. Mm, that's great. Focus on the folks who can who can most move the needle. Got it. Very good. It's great. It's a great thing. Raise up 5 to 10 of our current mid-level donors into a major gift in the next 4 months. Great. Very clear. I love that focus. Year-end goals and trying to get there. Prep my portfolio. Great. Love that. Yes, the need in LA is very high. Absolutely. Great. If this is your first time coming to any of my live trainings, could you put first in the chat and let me know if this is your first one? First, yeah, cool. Welcome. Oh man, all of you. That's amazing. I know some folks are going to watch the replay, so I'm glad you're here live. I have bonuses for you as a result of being here live, so you're welcome in advance. I hope it helps you. So we're going to start with some reflection questions and then jump into the tactical stuff. Does that sound good? So the first is, tell me, what are your goals? what is your fundraising goal between now and the end of the year or whatever your focus is? If your focus is the next quarter, the next 4 months, what amount do you need to raise? Go ahead and put that in the chat. What's your fundraising goal? Love to raise another million. Yeah, okay. Team goal is 3 million. Annual fund is 2.5 and we are at 1.9. Great. So you need to raise 600. That would be the math on that. Okay. Great. Keep putting your goals in. Yeah, I need to check to see how much you've raised so far for sure, Dan. Okay. Like to raise 1.5. Don't have a specific number from my organization. Focuses on retention. Yep. Okay. Great. All right. Tell me what is working lately. So, regarding fundraising, regarding major gifts, what's working for you? What is going well? And I want you to take a minute, 2 minutes, and write down 3 to 5 things. And when you have them, you can put them in the chat. 3 to 5 things that are working well, that are getting a return. You enjoy doing it. It's going well. And if you don't have 3, then at least put 1. Ah, Danny says our donors care about our mission. New donors, great. Board members are active. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Personal connection with donors organically, meeting for coffee, being in community, sharing impact in real conversations, sharing the impact at our gala. Board is committed to fundraising. Great. Dan says lots of people with incredible capacity already in our network. Yeah. Learning about our work for the first time. Mm-hmm. Folks stepping up from 10K to give 25K per year for 3 years. That's awesome. Now 7 commitments. Donors hosting parties. Last year's retention was excellent. Go, Molly. Very enthusiastic large donors. Ooh, my favorite. Did you know that, Molly? uh, tours. Yep. Tours are working. Great. They're blown away. Yep. That's awesome. Molly, well done. Reached our event fundraising goals. Lots of loyal donors. Congrats. Personal connections, great, successful. Yep. A lot of momentum. Wonderful. All right. This is really good. we don't always take time to think about what's working, right? And we don't always carve out the proper amount of time to keep doing what's working. So I want you to just keep that in mind that this is what's working for you, according to you. So now you're going to write at least a couple things. Could be just as long of a list, maybe not. What is not working? What's not working? What is what's not working, or the ROI isn't what it used to be. The ROI, the return on investment, is maybe it's decent, but it's not great. In order to keep doing this thing moving forward, the ROI would need to be higher, but it's not there anymore, so not really working. Take a minute, think about it, and write down those things. Or maybe it's working, but you hate it. And so it takes forever to do because you don't want to do it. So really, the ROI isn't there because of the amount of time you have to put towards it. Because how we spend our time is how we're spending our budget. That's it. How you spend your time is your strategy. Danny says no response from some donors. Yeah, emails, phone calls. Uh-huh. Okay. Molly says, I have a few donors who increase their gifts yearly, but not as many as I'd like. I want to see more exciting, larger gifts coming from my portfolio. Okay. No vision for growing fundraising plan except for small, very small incremental growth year to year. Don't understand how to effectively ask for a major gift. Okay. Yeah. All right. Not sure how to transition from just my charisma selling a big vision to talking about numbers business plan. Yeah, got it. Yep. Oh, there's just not enough time to reach out to all the mega millionaires who have affinity for our work. No super articulate moves management process feels improvised every time. Okay. Ooh, grants. Tell me about it. From charisma to vision to business question. Yeah, great. Okay. All right. Keep adding yours if you think of more. Think of things that you need to stop doing or you need to let go of because it's not working. Write those down. If it comes to you throughout this process, I need to stop doing this, write it down in the chat. Put it in there. Okay. This is really, is this helpful so far to reflect? No, no. Okay. It's helpful for Christy. Okay. Cool. So great. Dan says yes, helpful. Awesome. I am going to share my screen in a minute, but here's how I see folks sabotage their Q4 growth. Okay. There's no personalized touch points in the summer. So your donors don't hear from you other than whatever they get on your mailing list or whatever is sent out social media, right? So if there's personalized touch points in the summertime, that is going to set you up for success in Q4. The next thing that I see is we spring large asks on donors at the same time that we hope that they'll donate. So there's no prep, there's no heads up, there's no nothing. It's like, oh shit, it's November. Can you donate? Because that's when you want the money in November, right? It's like, okay. So we got to stop acting like it's, we're enjoying our Thanksgiving dinner. And then we're like, oh shit, Christmas is a month away. Whoa, right? It's like, we know it's coming every year. We know it's coming. Those people are surprised. They're like, I need to buy gifts. So you're here, so you're not going to do that. It's great. And then the last one's maybe the hardest for some of you. Okay. Okay. And that is that we're bad at celebrating wins. And part of celebrating wins is sharing them with your donors, sharing them on social media, because that's how you keep people in the loop, right? They need to know about this track record. They need to know about the wins. They need to know the progress that you've made. It doesn't need to be some really fancy even number mega milestone. Like, we are notorious for poo-pooing our progress. It's not good enough. We're not there yet. When I get to X point, then I'll do Y. Cut that out, right? We got to get better at celebrating the progress that we've made. And when you do that, right, you begin to see the progress that you've been overlooking. So Dan, for you example, right? You said something that I would share. This is a nugget. You need to write this down. You need to take notes right here, what I'm about to say. If I were in conversations and even email corresponding, like pen pal type stuff with these donors, which is going to be a lot of them because some of these folks are not going to meet with you. They're just too busy and they want it in writing anyway, whatever you ask them for. FYI, private equity folks, right? So it's like you saying, hey, how's grassroots grocery going? Amazing. It's going great. We just got 7 commitments for 25K plus a year. I would include that in my update about how things are going. I would let people know. This is how far you've come. This is the progress that you've made. You are at this level now. This is the level that you play at. I would give people that update all the time. I'd be like, yeah, it's going good. We're getting more and more donors who are committing 6 and 7 figure multi-year commitments. That's really exciting. That would be my org update, y'all. Of course, I would tell a story of one, this person who's in our community came to us this way. They went through our program. Now they're in this situation. We're doing that for this many people. But you got to get better at celebrating the progress. We don't even know what a win is. We think a win is like you have to get $1 million. That's a win. It's like, good grief. Come on. If those are the only things that we celebrate, you're going to be celebrating every 72 months, maybe? Are you going to have the energy to keep going? This is really hard work. Fundraising is a lot of no. It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of putting yourself out there. And the way that I'm like, well, I got to keep going. I got to learn how to celebrate these wins. And a win is forward progress. That's what a win is. So stop poo-pooing your progress and saying, that ain't good enough. That's not worth sharing with our donors. Nobody gives a flip. Those are lies, right? Uh-huh. I'm preaching to somebody today. Dan says amen. Well, there you go. There you go. Because maybe some of your donors still think you're that little nonprofit that you were years ago, and you're not there anymore. You're not in that place of struggle that you used to be in when they last remember, whatever that is. You're not there anymore. So you got to let them know where you're at. Okay. Here's why, Molly, no, that's not a dumb question. Well, put your questions in the chat. It's really good. I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. So just pop them in there anytime you want. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give you some examples. So here's why strong relationships don't automatically equal a bigger gift, right? You need all three of these things, and you're going to be able to identify what's missing for you, where you need to improve in these three areas, okay? And I can already, based on what you said about what's working and what isn't, I can already tell you, some of you, I know the answer. Uh, the first is necessity. What is your measurable need for funding? If you don't have that, and if you can't articulate that, you're going to struggle to raise more money, right? The next is credibility. Do you have a track record of impact? Do people know, because you've said it a bajillion times, this is how we translated money into life change? Did you find 10,000 ways to tell that, right? And then the last is a clear ask. So, did you clearly make a personalized ask to your major donors on how they can help you specifically? Not a vague, can we count on your support this year? Nah. Right? That doesn't raise a really large gift. Doesn't do it. Okay. I'm going to give you examples of this, of each one. So the first is necessity, a measurable need for funding. What is the main measurable reason you're raising more? And you cannot say to pay the bills, please, dear God, please don't do it. I can't let you come to this live workshop and then still be saying that. I can't do, my reputation is on the line, y'all. Okay? Will you help us keep the lights on? That's not the reason you're doing this. If there's no obvious need for more money, then there's no obvious need for more money. Really profound, right? You need to have a clear and urgent need that you can articulate, or a bigger vision, or you will struggle to get more money in the door. Because you need that to motivate you, to make it clear, this is why I'm asking this person for this larger amount. Here's an example. So this is one of my clients, Kara. She is in the Midwest, in a small town. And this is a LinkedIn post that she did. And it's an example of clear necessity. Okay. You're going to get this document. I'll give it to you. But it's basically a story. So her 15-year-old yells that, Mom, we need snacks. So she tells this story, and I'm going to fast forward, okay? Here's the truth. Not every family gets to experience this kind of full. She's talking about stocking her kids' snacks for the summer, right? Last night, I walked the aisles of our choice food pantry with a woman I'll call Elena. She's been shopping with us for over a year, kind, focused, always prioritizing fresh produce for her kids. And I asked her, what would 5 extra points mean for your family this summer? She paused and said, it means I don't have to say no to snacks during the week. I can get the essentials and a few extras. My kids are hungry all the time, all summer long. That stopped me in my tracks. This summer, families like Elena's are facing a steeper climb. In 2024, more than 600,000 Hoosier kids got extra help from a federal grocery program called Sunbucks. That program is gone. At Grace Care Center, we're not waiting for someone else to step in. We are the someone. Then you can see that's $10,000 in grocery every week for 8 weeks, 600 families. That's $80,000 of groceries out of our choice food pantry. It's bold, it's doable. I'm asking you to join me. So her ask was, we're looking for 50 new monthly donors. And she's on track to do this. So, and then she has a photo of her family here. Really cute. So it's really obvious what the need is and it's measurable, right? 600 families in 8 weeks, $10,000 in groceries. You don't even have to get this granular of boom, boom, boom. But you need to have a necessity of a measurable need for funding, and you need to communicate that. You can't just, it's not enough to say we're feeding people. People are hungry, right? They need food. No duh. Right? How many people are we talking? How much is that going to cost? In what way are you doing this? So, in this regard, right, it's groceries every week. That's really clear. You tracking with me? Necessity, clear necessity. If you don't have necessity, if you don't have this, if you don't have a measurable goal, then it's like, okay, well, if I gave $50,000 last year and you're asking me for 100,000, why? Right? Well, if you can't tell me that you're either serving more people or it's more expensive to serve the same number of people, or you're serving the same number of people in a more holistic way. Could be any one of those three options of how your organization is growing. It doesn't even necessarily have to be more. It could be we're going to serve the same number of people in the same way, and this is how much that costs. But what is your measurable need for funding? So I want you to put that answer to that in the chat as best as you can come up with it. How many people are you helping? How are you helping them? And if you know what that's going to cost, put that in a chat. Your necessity. And if you don't know, put what you do know. Put what you do have. What is the main measurable reason you're raising money? And it is not to make payroll. That's not why you do this. $250 dancers a week. Great. Very clear. No worries. Take time and think about it because this is really important. Wow. 1.1 million people a month. Right. Molly, that's very clear necessity. Yeah. Dang, that's so many people. Wow. That's like a tenth of LA. More than a tenth. Wow. So you could say we feed 1 out of every 10 people in Los Angeles every month. That's nuts. Bananas. And as a result of that necessity, right, it would make sense that you would, that's a lot of people. You would need to raise a lot more money. Uh, 1,000 kids in mental health crisis. Yeah, wow, Lindsay. Really powerful. So then put a time frame on that. Do you do that every year? Is that every how often is that? What is that? 1,000 kids over the course of the lifetime of your organization? What's the time there? That would be helpful to know. Okay, 15,000 pounds of produce to 1,500 households every Saturday. You want to double that. Yeah. Yeah, you're turning folks away. I mean, so does that mean you would want to do, if you're doubling the produce, then that means 3,000 households? I'd be interested to know how many people is that? Is it on average a family of four? And is it unique households each Saturday? Or is it the same 1,500 each Saturday? How many people are you turning away? What do you anticipate is the need? If you could snap your finger and meet the need, what is that? And how much would that cost? Ooh, that would raise millions. Because then you could say, well, we could solve this problem. If you know how to solve it, then it is a matter of money. Yeah, okay. So, Danny, right? Protect and preserve wildlife and natural resources. So, get measurable. So, is that uh, the largest national park in the US? Is it how many square miles? How much acreage of land are we talking about? What is the estimate of the amount of wildlife that you're preserving on those natural resources? Um, how many youth visit the park? Right? Measurable. Because it gives me some sense of scale. If we're talking about 50 youth, right, then I'm like, okay, 50 youth in one summer. All right. If we're talking about 5,000, that's a different scale. Then that would require a different level of funding. What you're doing is you're positioning the donor to understand how much something cost. They don't have any clue. They don't know. They don't know how big or small we're talking. So we have to get measurable. We have to be crystal, right? It's just super helpful for you because it makes sense if you're, yeah, we're serving thousands of people. That's going to cost a lot of money. Does that make sense? That's what's powerful about Kara's example here, right? And this LinkedIn post could turn in, this could be an email easily, right? So that's why I'm showing you these examples here because this could be reused. You could take a snippet of this. You could start it out by saying, this part, right? In 2024, 600,000 folks get help from a federal grocery program, and now that program is gone. So you could start with the problem if you wanted. You could alter this and reuse it, but it's great because it's a very clear necessity. I get it. All right. The second is credibility. So your track record of impact. This is where I talked about celebrating the progress and the wins. So how have you turned money into impact? This is, of course, Charity Water is a great example. 20 million people now have clean water because of you. Every single one of the 184,104 projects. Pretty cool. So could be your credibility and what you share could be celebrating, like this example is, of the entire cumulative impact of the history of your organization, right? So we have supported uh you know 1,368 dancers in the last 10 years. I don't know. You can pick. You can, like I said earlier with Dan's example of 7 donors making 3-year pledges, 25K and above. That is something to celebrate. And you could tie that to impact. You could say, and that has helped us to reach this many households a month. Simple. So I want you to put that in the chat. What is an example of your track record of impact? What has it gotten done, right? It's not just that Charity Water served 20 million people, it's that 20 million people have clean water. So, not just what you did, but what did it create? What change did it create? Can you articulate that? Put that in the chat when you have it. LA Regional Food Bank distributed 130 million pounds of food and grocery products, the equivalent of 105 million meals. Wow. So, yeah, that's clear. That's amazing. Produce parties all over the country. Okay. So that speaks to your vision, not necessarily your track record. It's a great vision. Okay. So think about, if you're struggling with the credibility piece, keep going. We're going to come back to this. The next is a clear ask. So this is just you being really direct. and obvious. How can this person specifically help? Why? Because no one is a mind reader, and surprisingly, not every nonprofit needs money. There are some nonprofits that are currently not fundraising. I know that may be hard to believe. Some of them are fully funded and flush with cash, and they need to figure out how they're going to build a strategic plan, right? They're in a different phase. Nobody can read your mind. So just because you're a nonprofit, people don't know unless you tell them what you need. Or they're going to assume that you need water bottles and crappy Dell laptops. Okay? So we gotta tell them what we need. This is an example. This is Sheena, former client. So she talked about their Between the Bells program, which is for high school students to get mental health training and support. So the ask here is really obvious. It's an example. Between the Bells, right? Equips schools, want to do something that truly changes lives, that invests in a child's mental wellness for a lifetime, underwrite a school. Your gift of $1,000 could bring Between the Bells to an entire school of students that need it most. Really clear what that is. And then the action step is DM me, let's make a difference today. So I'd love for you to do an example of a clear ask. So what would be an ask that you would make that's really clear towards your goals? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Articulate your clear ask. Whatever you've got. Okay. Yeah. We need to build out a third room at the dance studio. This will enable us to serve 60 more dancers every week. The cost for build out is $30K. Very clear. Last year, you donated $10,000 in October. The food bank has increased its distribution by 33%. Can you help us meet this need by increasing your gift 33% to $13,300? That's clear. That's clear, Molly. Too weird. Too statistical. So a little more human, right? Kind of what you said earlier. I thought it was really beautiful. You said, 900,000 to 1.1 million. There's just more people in LA who are hungry, and we're doing something about it. And the thing is, right, it's like, how can this person specifically help? So making it personalized. I get the 33%, but it's, less, the cost likely doesn't increase exactly 33%. So, and not every donor is going to do a 33% increase. So the math is, it probably isn't going to help you too much to ask for 33% more. I get that it makes it easy to pick an amount. But, you might as well just say 15 or 20 and keep it even, and they'll talk you down if they can't do that, but don't negotiate yourself down. 13 is, if you think about inflation, it's basically flat to 10 anyway. So it's really, I like that you're asking for more. All right. So where do you need to improve? Pick one. Necessity, credibility, clear ask. Where do you need the most improvement? What do you need to focus on? One, two, or three, put it in the chat. We're looking for matching donors. For 40,000 students and teachers in Utah schools. Okay. That's cool. Okay, so I would stick with the 1,500 ask, or, I mean, if you're, when you throw out 150 like that, right, of matching funds, I would say how much, share how much you've already gotten committed so far. Because when you don't, the donor's like, oh, so you're starting at zero? Well, they don't know. Like, that's still a long way to go, right? So if it's like you're trying to raise 150, that's your goal. Every dollar is going to be matched. And so far you've raised this much. Don't give them the 1,500 and the 500. Those numbers are pretty close together. Just pick the bigger one. Leave it. If they say, "Hey Emily, I can't do 1,500," then you have a 500 option backup. But don't put those two little options in there when you're trying to get to $150,000. Don't do that. Just pick one. The more info that you give people, like, it slows everything down, right? You think that maybe they need more information to make a better decision, but they don't. You can overwhelm someone. You give them too much homework, they don't have time, they put it off, and you slow this whole process down when it could be a quick yes. Like, give the bare minimum info. Simplify, simplify, simplify. You're in the job of simplification for the donor. Simplify it for them. Make it easy for them. If what you do is complex, then it's your job to make it simple. Do not tell anyone that what you do is complex. That is a surefire way to not raise money. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in a meeting where I'm like listening to our program staff tell me how complex things are, and I'm like, "Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no." I'm like, "No, this is bad. This is very bad. We cannot be complex. We cannot. We cannot be complex." If it requires our donors to take a 6-part course to understand what we do and to read a short novel to understand what we do, we will not raise millions of dollars. I mean, you could be the best at this and you won't get it done. Like you got to simplify, simplify, simplify. Put the word simple in the chat. One word, simple. That's your mantra. Okay? Simple. 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 Yes. Okay. Molly says she needs to work on clear ask. Dan, clear ask. Christy, necessity. Allison, clear ask. What does my 50K per year for 3 years actually get me? So I don't think you have to answer that question, but you do need to be able to say, okay, well, if we want to get to 30,000 pounds of produce, then that's going to cost us 3 million, right? So, and that serves 3,000 people. And that's 12,000 people a month. And 12 times 12, that's 144,000 people a year. That's going to cost 3 million, which is why I'm asking you for 50K a year for 3 years. So you don't even need to say, because they can do the math themselves. They're like, oh, okay, well, if it costs you 3 million and that serves 144,000 a year, then I can do the quick math on that to see how many people and the cost per intervention, right? But it's like, if you know what your vision is and the necessity is and it's time bound and it's measurable, then you don't need to like 50K gets a family, 8 vegetables and 3 fruit and blah, 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 blah. We get it. It's fresh produce. It's healthy food. We get it. We don't need like simple, 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 simple. If you're looking to double your impact, then it would make sense. You would ask somebody to double their gift, triple their gift, right? It would make sense. It makes sense. Yeah, Emily says these exercises are making me realize all of the above, but probably clear ask most of all. Absolutely. There's a proverb that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So organizations slowly die when they don't have a clear vision of where they're headed and what they're going to do. What are you going to do in the future? Right? Draw a line in the sand. This is the impact that we are going to have, that we plan to create. Lindsay says 3. Okay, simple, simple, simple. Great. So we're going to go into the opportunity map. So we're going to identify your donor zones. This is where we talk about who. Who are these people? Those are the 3 things they need, right? Necessity, credibility, clear ask. We got that. You're tracking. You're doing great. Okay, you're doing great. Okay. So the next is we're going to talk about your donor zones. So there's high affinity, high potential, high risk. And if you're focused on retention, then your high risk folks might be the place where you start first. If you're focused on conversion, upgrade, then high affinity, high potential. If you need to do both, then you need to split your time. So high affinity are people who are really connected to your mission. They've said things to you like really love what you do, and like they've shared some kind of personal connection. Christy, for you, maybe they were a dancer, or their mother was a dancer, or their sister, or some kind of personal impact, right? They're a retired dancer. Dan, for you and all the folks in food access, it could be, I know what it's like to be hungry. My family, we grew up that way. Or, it could be any number of some sort of personal connection to the mission. They've said things like that to you. They've offered to help you in the past 12 months. Let me know what you need. Reach out, here for you. Could say something like, hey, when they donate, they're like, hey, and there's more coming in the future, right? If anybody's ever said anything like that, there's some sort of giving loyalty they've been giving for 3+ years. Or if you're a newer organization, 2+ years, right? They have a repeat history of giving, they've given multiple times. They're not just somebody who came to an event, gave a gift because Bob asked them to, and you never heard from them again. Like those people, you need to probably let go. High potential is somebody who's had some sort of interaction with you or engagement in the last quarter. So it could be that they've attended an event, they volunteered, they came and took a tour. You know that, a board member or a volunteer or a donor recently talked to this person. Could be any sort of meaningful touch point. They were a one-time donor in the last 6 months or so, anywhere from $100 to $1,000. And then your high risk people are the people who are up for renewal. They give every year, they give twice a year. It's time for them to give again. They typically give in September. Or you've reached out to them, 4 to 6 times and you haven't heard back. Ooh, it's almost time to let them go. If it's 6 outreaches or more, then it is time to let them go and you haven't heard back. Radio silence, put them on the back burner. Just stop it, you know? Okay, so I want you to take a moment, think about your are there people in your portfolios? Are there people within your donor base? Open up your CRM if you want. Look and see. Think about your calendar. Jog your memory. Who have you met with lately? Look in your inbox. Who have you reached out to? Who's responded to you? Who's in these different zones? High affinity, high potential, high risk. I'd love for you to think of and write down the names of specific people. It's not going to be comprehensive, but we're going to get the ball rolling. So write down those names on your own. And then when you have it, put how many high affinity, put the number in the chat. So high affinity, put it in the chat. Really passionate, loyal, or both. Okay. How many have you got so far? High affinity. Oh, wow. 25 to 50. Great. Beautiful. All right, we're going to keep going. So I want you, in thinking about these high affinity folks, where might you currently be leaving money on the table? So if there was really clear necessity, credibility, and a clear ask, who is likely to step up and give a larger gift? 50 to 55, 20 to 30, great. Who has offered to help you and you could take them up on it? Where have you been vague in the past and you could be bolder, more clear? Where could you leverage non-liquid assets? If you have a DAF donor, you could talk about gifts of appreciated stock, leveraging a corporate match, asking someone to give from their IRA. These are just examples. It's not a comprehensive list, but this is just to get the juices flowing here. So think of one of your donors, right? And if you had, do you have the donor in mind? One person, one ask. Yes? Okay. Think of this one person, and if you were able to communicate the necessity, credibility, and a clear ask, how much money do you think you're leaving on the table with that one person? What do you think is their best gift that they could give? And your best guess. Of course, this is a guess. So put that in the chat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Christy says, I really don't know. This is where it kind of breaks down. I don't really know where their money is or if they can give more. Molly says 500K. This is a guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, take a guess. Pick one donor, take a guess. If they're currently giving 25K, what do you think is the best gift that they could give based on how generous they are and if they understood how much money you need? Lindsay says they previously gave 20K. I think 250,000 might be possible, but I'm not sure if it's the right time for that ask yet. Okay. Yeah, estate give 500K. Great. Okay, so let's keep going. Then this is the last section, and then we're gonna do questions. So three things folks want to see, right? How their past gift made a difference, or if they're a first time major donor, then how other people's giving made a difference. So, right, we've already talked about this. What'd you do with the money? How did it change people's lives? You have a clear vision for the future. Really important. And why them? It can't just be because you perceive them to be rich, right? It's like I'm asking you specifically, this is personalized. It's not a copy and paste job because my sense is you care deeply about this mission. You know what it's like to go through XYZ thing. You've told me before X, repeat things they've said back to you, right? To show that you're listening. You understand, you see them as a human being. And that's why I'm asking you to give this much. So, personalization. Why them specifically? This wasn't copied and pasted, and you're asking every person the same ask. What is it about their character, who they are, their values, the things that they've said that matter to them? And that's the reason. Because their passion and who they are matters far more than their wealth, how much money they have, their capacity. Okay. And then you got to pick a cadence for your outreach. So between now and the end of the year, for these high affinity folks, choose a cadence. So could be once a month you're doing personalized outreach, could be twice a month. You need to decide. Could be once a week for certain people. But this particular group, what are you going to commit to as a minimum? You can always exceed that if you want, but pick a cadence for donor outreach and you're going to put this on your calendar as a block. So you're going to decide that right now. Take a minute, write down, I'm going to reach out to these high affinity people. This is personalized outreach. This is above and beyond what they get through your mailing list, what they get in all of this other part of their donor experience and all the multi-channel outreach that they have. This is you personally touching base with them. My recommendation is at least once a month. Once a month is good. But you've got to decide. You can always go above and beyond that, but that's what you need to decide right now. So, whatever you decide, once a month, twice a month, once a week, every other week, put that in the chat now. What is going to be your cadence between now and the end of the year to help you reach this goal? Okay, so we're going into Q now. I'm going to start answering these, but I want you to pick something, even if you decide to change your mind later. Put it in the chat. Once a month, twice a month. These are high affinity folks where there's the largest opportunity, the greatest passion, loyalty. They're in your corner. They want your organization to succeed. Christy says once a month. Dan says once a month. Emily says twice a month. Great. And then you're going to pick a time. Pick a time on your calendar. Put it on there. Schedule it. Keep it. This is my donor outreach relationship building block of time. If it's 2 hours, 1 hour, if you want to break it up over the course of days, great. Do it however you want. But make a commitment that you're going to calendar that and do it no matter what. Okay. let's jump into questions. So I had a question earlier. La la la, it was a good one. Hmm. Molly. Okay. If things are going well, will donors want to keep contributing or feel they don't need to? So donors need to know why you need to raise more money. And right, they need necessity and vision. So if things are going well, then you're a winning team. And people love being on winning teams. And if you can make them feel like you're doing this together, you're winning at this is working, then that helps you to raise more money. There are certainly donors who will give because they feel that an organization is really struggling and they need help because they're struggling. And there are also people who will give because they know that your organization can be trusted with more. So, in my experience, I've seen donors say, yeah, we're going to give the same amount because these people over here really need our help. But it's not because things are going well, it's because we didn't communicate the necessity. When things are going well, it's like, oh, they're doing really good. They're a solid organization. And sometimes people just change their minds. They're like, we're going to give to this now. Okay. There's nothing you can do about that. What about if you have extra outreaches because of event invitations? Does that count as one? Probably not. I mean, this is just personalized outreach where you're building the relationship, right? So, an example would be your June outreach is, hey, happy summer. What plans do you have for the summer? Here's what me and my family are doing. Hope you're doing well. I know you love podcasts. I just listened to this one, thought you would like it. It really is like personalized and doesn't even necessarily have to do with your nonprofit. Are there any types of donors who don't want to hear from you every month? If there are, they'll tell you. Go until you get a no. Don't say no for them. That's not your gig. That's not your gig. For high affinity prospects, how does the outreach cadence change when they make the gift and you focus on stewardship? It doesn't. So I would still stick to what was working before. Because they got the gift, I wouldn't change what's working. Will it be noticeable if you are connecting 1 to 2 times per month and that slows down so you can make time for new high affinity donors? Yeah, probably. The more that you do this, then the quicker you'll get at it. So this can be done in 1 to 2 hours a week. If you don't have 1 to 2 hours a week, then your priorities are off and you're gonna lose donors. So don't worry, you won't have that many to worry about for long anyway. If you don't take care of people, someone else will. If you don't tell them what's going on, they'll go give somewhere else. Where there's a lack of communication, negativity usually fills that space. We do this in personal relationships. When we don't hear from a friend or family member that we expect to or hope to hear from, we think, oh, maybe they're mad at me. Maybe something happened. Maybe I offended them. Maybe I did something wrong. They didn't invite me to their kid's birthday. Why is that? We start to fill in the space with negativity. It's human. We all do this. Your donors do the same thing. They're like, oh, guess $20,000 isn't that much to Lindsay. Guess it's not that big of a deal. Guess they don't need my money. I haven't heard from them. Necessity, right? It's like, do you see me? That's what we're all wondering in relationships. Do you see me? That's what this is. If somebody gives you a gift and then you stop talking to them, what does that communicate? Without saying anything, what are you saying? I got what I needed. See ya. Have a nice life. You may not intend to do that, but that is what's being said. So it really is a matter of values. Don't purport to be about relationships. Don't talk about it. Just be about it. Just do it. Do it and then talk about it, right? Don't talk about it. No talking. We talk too much and then we betray ourselves. We don't actually hold up our end of the deal. Don't do that. Just do it. And people will know that's what you care about, right? People will know because that's what you do. So do that. If you care about relationships, then you care about relationships. If you care about money, then you care about money. That's okay. Just be straight up about it. Don't act like that's what you care about. Would you count a text exchange as personalized? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. And people who are really busy, really wealthy, travel a lot, never home, they're on their phones. They're probably not going to meet with you. Your ask is likely going to be a text message. That's a-okay. I've done that so many times. It isn't about our preferences, right? It's about meeting the donor where they are and adapting to what they need. These are great questions. So, what is one action step that you need to take? One action step. What's your next step? It should be pretty clear what you need to do. Go ahead and write that in the chat. Okay, personalized summer communication for my donors. Great. Yeah, carve out 1 to 2 hours a week to do this. Yes. I would do it first thing. My recommendation is first thing in the day, earlier in the week. So Monday, Tuesday. That gives time for donors to get back to you. If you put it the end of the day on a Thursday or Friday, you're going to constantly be frustrated that nobody answers you because you wait till the last minute and this isn't a priority. If it's a priority, you'll do it first thing in the morning and you'll do it early in the week. And then you actually get responses in the same week. It's going to change your whole flipping life if you do that. That's what I would do. And then leave all the follow-ups and all the admin and all the meeting notes and everything towards the end of the week. You do that stuff at the end of the week. How many high affinity donors is too many for one person? Depends on the role, depends on the person. So let's say that you're a major gifts officer and that's your whole gig. And you know, you've got years of experience. Could be 80, 100, 150. The larger the organization, the quicker you cycle through and disqualify prospects, right? So you're having a higher churn because you got to get through more people because you have more people because you have less time to waste trying to track down people who aren't actually interested or just not the right timing right now. So the disqualification process is a bit quicker the larger the nonprofit. But I typically say, you put somebody on the back burner after 6 outreaches and you don't hear anything back. Then just disqualify, put them in on the back burner. It doesn't mean you delete them from your database or something, right? But look, I'm just not gonna worry about this person for another 6 months. I'll revisit that list. So if you're an executive director, CEO, and this is fundraising is just one part of your job, right? I have a client that is their goal is 4 million in major gifts, and they have a team of 3 in fundraising. It's the ED, major gifts officer, and a development manager, and they raised 4 million in major gifts. And the ED is probably got 20, 25 people in their portfolio, and they're all the largest donors, typically. So it depends on what someone can handle, like their skills and what their role is, um, and their goals and the size of the organization, size of the donor base. Yeah. Is that helpful, Dan? Happy to talk about this more. Also, if you have questions, you can come off mute. I just ask that it be a question and not a statement. Like, I have a question. Yeah, so here's my I'm like, "Oh, so what's the question?" Yeah, it's sort of how many donors. It's not really, I'm not really sure there's a formula. But for CEOs or executive directors, I usually say, no more than 25. And they're typically folks who are giving larger gifts. They're giving 6 and 7 figure gifts. Depends on the organization size, right? If you're the only fundraiser, then obviously that's going to change. But you have to draw a line in the sand and say these are the types of donors that I'll reach out to personally. It's not the only time they're going to hear from your nonprofit, right? They follow you on social media, they get your emails, maybe they subscribe on YouTube, whatever the other multi-channel touch points are, right? That's also part of their donor experience, which is great. But you have to make a decision about these are the types of donors that I'm going to reach out to as the ED. They have to be giving a certain level, they have to have high potential, high affinity, whatever that is. How often do you recommend outreach for high potential donors? At least once a month. Some donors are you're going to be really close with, and maybe it's a board member or somebody who is retired and they just have a lot of free time and they're really helpful and they want to help you and they have a lot of advice and a lot of time to give and they like to be pen pals. I have donors like that, right? They're awesome. Maybe once a week, just depends. But you have to make a decision about what's going to be your minimum, and you can always exceed it. You can always, seasonally, you can be like, oh, it's the fall. I'm going to reach out to them once a week, but you got to do something that's your minimum standard. Okay, so a couple of action steps in here. Personalize comms, clearly identify high affinity donors in a list, committing to monthly outreach with calendar time blocks. Yeah, great. Carve out 1 to 2 times a week to do this. What's your action step? Put it in the chat. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. So you said you
Hi,
disqualify
Molly.
people. Hi, nice to meet you.
You too.
Nice to see everyone. You said you disqualify people after 6 times of reaching out. I have many donors. So all of my donors in my portfolio started new as of the pandemic. And I have many donors that don't communicate at all, but do give once a year.
Great.
And I've retained those donors in my portfolio, which is about 170 on a high day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what my question was. So when would and I disqualify people, obviously, if it's been a few years and they haven't given. I think that some people are maybe taking in all the great information I'm sending and just not responding back.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh.
Um, is there a time to get more creative with outreach?
Absolutely. Do you ask questions, like personal questions that would warrant
Would
a
warrant a response.
response? Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I ask them, or every year we ask them to re-verify how they want to be recognized,
Uh-huh.
or I'll invite them to something, I'll offer them free tickets to something,
Mm.
or things like that. But I haven't necessarily reached out with personal questions, maybe why are you giving, or things like that.
Yeah,
Because
I
a
love
lot of
that.
it was all these new people, and I was just throwing stuff at the wall to see how it would go.
Yeah.
And now with the fires, we have another new influx of emergency donors, I would say.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
How would you, I don't know. I feel
So
fine with
you have
including
a
them.
wealth screen, right, Molly? So you know their scores.
Yes.
So I would sort your list by the screen and then the amount that they gave, and it'll prioritize it for you. And then go down that list. And I would, maybe reach out to 20 a day or whatever and personalize it. Like make it fun and interesting. Do an experiment.
Mhm.
Have a blast, go crazy, just I, do something that is interesting to you. Like, how do you like to build relationships and get to know people? Like, try to get to know them, and then you'll see who replies, and that will help you to prioritize even a bit more and see where there might be people who are interested in getting more involved, interested in giving more, or introduce referring, to people in their network, whatever it is that you would want them to do. But that's what I would do. Yeah. And if you look in this cheat sheet at the very bottom, there's a bonus of the call in cash cheat sheet. And if you click on that, there's like questions you can ask. There's also the donor script. Have you used that,
Not
Molly?
yet.
It's in the link is in the chat. So there's great questions in there on things you could ask folks to build relationships and get to know them that I've used in conversation, in email, text messages. And again, keep it really simple. Like ask one question in an email. Like make the email the main thing is asking that one question. Um Yeah. So don't overcook the grits, You're putting way too much in there and it's like, oh, surefire way to be ignored. Yeah.
I always think my number one goal is to not annoy anyone. And then it's number two that they actually open the email.
Okay. Well, I mean, you have a tough gig if you're trying not to annoy people. I mean, cuz to build relationships, you just have to communicate a lot.
Mhm.
There's no way around that. So, and again, we usually err on the side of not communicating enough. And then when we do communicate, we like info dump on people. It's just like, yee. overwhelming. So try to make it about one main thing and just get to know people. Yeah.
Thank
How
you.
you would like to do it.
Yeah.
There's no like one right way to build relationships with people. And you're probably because a lot of those folks they're gonna keep giving, right? So they might not meet, they might not come to an event, they might not, but they're still gonna donate. So don't take any of that personal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Thanks, everybody. I hope this was supportive to you. You're going to get the replay and the cheat sheet and all the fun stuff and later today. And if there's any way that I can support you, you got my email, so you know where I'm going to be at. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll see you on the interwebs. Have a great day.